Good morning, Cedar Park. Today is Thursday, January 26th, 2023, and it's an A-Day.
Take a look behind the curtain at the work that has gone into the feeder department's production of Big Fish.
This morning, student athletes across the district are petitioning to save their sport. CPHS News investigates to get the details and confirm the facts.
Find out more about FCCLA regionals and upcoming information on the mock SAT.
And a new edition of T-Wolf Spotlight, an event you won't want to miss out on.
Turn it up because the Wolfcast starts now.
Broadcasting from Studio 2101 in Cedar Park, Texas, this is the Wolfcast.
Good morning, Cedar Park, and welcome back. I'm Abby Martinez, and I'm here this morning with Jack Polishuk and Katie Whitmarsh. Some of you may have already seen the calls to save water polo and Leander ISD on social media.
Dozens of swimmers are speaking out and sharing their frustrations after they say they felt blindsided by a recent district decision to cut water polo as an official course program and shift it into a club sport.
After a swimmer reached out to us, we followed up on their story tip and spoke to district officials to set the record straight. CPHS News investigates.
The history of water polo is back in 2019, UIL decided to pilot program whether or not water polo should be a competitive sport. So in 2019 and then throughout COVID, there wasn't really a good basis of it because, those transition years through the pandemic.
That's Leander ISD Chief of Communications Officer Christina Hardy explaining water polo's shift to an official UIL sport earlier this year. This season at Cedar Park, the girls' team claimed the district title while the boys' team took second in district. CPHS water polo player Trevor Von Wupperfield says he's hopeful to have a chance to do even better next season.
I know everybody enjoyed themselves a lot, and we felt pretty successful. We beat some out-of-district teams. We weren't able to play a lot of games, which made us a little sad, but it was a very good season, I'd say.
That sense of hope recently changed into a feeling of surprise and for some betrayal when word spread among swimmers that UIL water polo teams would go back to becoming a club sport.
I believe it was January 13th, and it was really just kind of out of nowhere for us. We had a meeting with Coach Q and Coach Jensky. They said going forward that we would not participate as a UIL sport and that we would be allowed to return to a high school club sport.
Hardy says talks have been ongoing since January of 2022 regarding the future of the sport as an official district program and that coaches were involved in these conversations.
They knew that there were going to be issues with facilities and with staffing, and when in the fall when they started to examine whether or not this was going to be feasible, they just felt like it just wasn't in the best interest to keep it as a competitive level UIL sport. However, it will still continue as a club sport like it's been at all of the campuses that had one.
Once the decision became final, coaches were expected to inform their teams, but it seems some may have done so sooner than others, leading to some confusion among the players.
As we realized that this situation was escalating to the point where there was a lot of rumors and there was a lot of things that were not necessarily true, or just a lot of confusion around the decision and the sport in general. I think that we were relying on the person-to-person communication a lot more than we were feeling like we needed to come out with a statement. Really relying on those relationships to help communicate it.
Vandergrift water polo player Ava Chalmers isn't letting this decision keep her down. The sophomore is now making it her mission to save water polo as a UIL-sanctioned sport in the district, creating a petition gaining more than 1,000 signatures.
Given that we weren't actually told beforehand about this decision being made for it to be final, I know that there is a way to sway the board. Otherwise, this decision would not have been finalized before being released to everyone.
CPHS's Trevor Von Wupperfield is also hopeful that the district's mind can be changed.
I would say that the one thing the water polo team wants at this point is we'll take whatever coach, we'll take whatever facilities, we'll run our own practices. We've already been running our own practices for the last 7 years for the most part. We just want our sport back. We'll compete. And all we need is just you to say, or for the district to say, give us the go-ahead, and we'll figure it out.
Now, to be clear, water polo isn't being cut altogether and will again shift back to a club sport as opposed to an official district program.
And so, Katie, in addition to that petition, are the students doing anything else to share their voice?
Absolutely, yeah. So tonight there's a school board meeting, and I know some swimmers across the district from Vista Ridge, Vandergrift, and Cedar Park have signed up for citizens' comments, and I know they also have a sign-up genius going out for students and parents to sign up to just be there in support.
Gotcha, yeah.
And do you think this will lead to the district changing their decision at all?
I don't think so. I think they have to finalize it by deadline to confirm course offerings for this coming school year, but that doesn't mean that this is final or permanent. I think sometime this next school year they'll reevaluate the sport, and if they're like, sure, we can definitely do this, this is feasible, it's something that the district can offer, then they'll reevaluate it and consider it for the following school year.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks for getting some clarification on this for us, Katie.
If you have a story tip like this or a rumor that you would like CPHS News to investigate, you can just reach out to us at CPHS News on Instagram or Twitter.
All right, now switching gears, the CPHS Theater Department has had quite the year so far. From 15 national qualifiers at the Thespian Convention to countless shows, they truly had a year to remember, and they aren't done yet.
CPHS's theater production of Big Fish the Musical opens tonight on the PAC stage. Reporter Kira Cox has more.
Thanks, Katie. Since November, the theater department has been working tirelessly to get ready for the production, and their work has paid off. Let's take a look at what the cast and crew has been working on.
The story follows Edward Bloom, a devoted father whose life stories are portrayed throughout the musical. You'll follow Edward through his tales and hear all the stories his son Will grew up with. From giants to witches and everything in between, the story truly captures the importance of not being scared of life, and that the only way to live life to its fullest is to not fear the future.
So I play Will Bloom, who is Edward Bloom's son, and basically Will goes on a journey of discovery of not himself but of his father and finding out who his identity is. I've been doing musicals and theater for 8 years now, and finally it's my last year in school, and I'm able to just take what I learned and apply it and teach others. I'm having an opportunity to work with an 8th grader and a literal 7-year-old as a younger me and my son, and I'm able to kind of guide them and teach them, and it's been a really nice little experience.
Joining the high school cast is 8th grader Charles Corson and 7-year-old Jackson Holt. Both have been involved throughout the rehearsal process and have been fantastic additions to the production. Along with having to figure out multiple characters in the musical acting-wise, set design has also had to work with the actors to expand on each character to make Big Fish.
I really like the character work I actually get to do with set design, specifically because we have a few bedrooms in here, so I get to think, what would this person have in their bedroom? What would they put on their bookshelf specifically? Because we have this one bookshelf that's used for every bedroom in the show.
From script to set to singing on stage, not everything is as easy as it seems.
Finding the relationships has been hard, because the relationship he has with his dad is much different than the one I have with my dad, and the one, I'm not married or anything, so I had to get used to that, but it wasn't too bad.
You can catch Big Fish on the 28th, 27th, and today in the PAC.
Thanks, Kira. Make sure you get your tickets at cphstheater.booktix.com.
Students in FCCLA are gearing up for their annual regional competition in a range of categories. Several members will be heading to Corpus Christi to provide their own presentations based on their categories of interest and demonstrate their skills at higher levels. The Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America, or FCCLA, is a career and technical student organization that teams together to explore different career paths. From 1945 to now, FCCLA has been making a variety of changes within everyday life. Chapter President Camden Michalek shares how the chapter has been preparing for this weekend's competition.
So we got all of our assignments back in October, and so we've been working tirelessly since then to just get everything ready and get all of our projects put together and our presentations in order and ready to do great at Region.
If you're interested in more about FCCLA, you can visit their monthly meetings in room 40005 during DEN. We'll have an update next week with how the team does in regionals.
The mock SAT is right around the corner for all students as they get the chance to prepare for the real thing. The mock SAT will help prepare students for the real deal later this semester, allowing them to know what areas they need to focus on and see where they are in their academics.
So the mock SAT that's coming up is important because it gives you a sense of how you would actually do on the actual SAT. All juniors are taking the actual SAT on Wednesday, March 1st. And so this mock SAT will give them a sense of where they're at, where they might need to do some practice. And then if they want to do that practice, they can go on khanacademy.org. And that is a free website where you can actually practice specific parts of the SAT or even take an entire practice one online.
Test is this Sunday, January 29th at 12:45 p.m. in the lecture hall. You can check the CPHS newsletter for more information.
Up next, Kira Cox joins us with today's headlines in this morning's brief. But first, this break.
Happy Thursday, Cedar Park. I'm Kira Cox here today with the top headlines in this morning's brief. First, a man was arrested for the murder of a 22-year-old Elizabeth Lopez in a road rage incident that took place on January 6th. On January 23rd, the suspect was located by the Lone Star Fugitive Task Force at Kyle Hospital, where he was being treated for an unrelated collision. The suspect admitted to the charges and was booked into the Travis County Jail on the charge of first-degree murder. His bond was set at $1 million. Next, a radio signal was received from 9 billion light years away. Scientists say the signal was emitted from the galaxy when the universe was only 4.9 billion years old. The signal is believed to be radio pulsars and magnetars, but an intentional signal has been sent to space. Lastly, Justin Bieber sold the rights to his music catalog in a $200 million deal with Hypnosis Songs Capital. Included in the deal was Bieber's 20% ownership of more than 290 songs. The deal is among the biggest for an artist under 70. So what do you guys think?
So did he sell all of his songs? Okay, how do I get a share of that? Like, is this like a private deal? Or
I think it's a private deal. I think he sold them all to one company.
All the rights to every song?
Every single song.
Do you guys think this is going to turn into a controversy later on, like 10 years, when he's like, I don't have the rights to my songs anymore?
Like Paula Taylor Swift?
Yeah.
And then it's like Justin Bieber's version?
I mean, at least he was like older, because since he just started his career so young, I mean, I think if it was done then, but now that he's older, I don't know if like he made a decision fully on his own.
Yeah.
So.
We need a new cover of Baby.
Yeah.
I think.
Baby Justin's version.
All right, thanks, Kira. Next, a new edition of T-Wolf Spotlight with Carver McDonald, but first, these announcements.
Hello, Cedar Park High School. I'm Carver McDonald, and I'm with Carrie Burns. Good morning, Miss Burns, and thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us about the podcast creation workshop you have planned.
Yeah, we have a podcast creation workshop coming up this Tuesday during DEN, January 31st, with Tanya Ransom. She's an award-winning horror podcast creator.
How did you connect with Tanya Ransom, the Not Like podcast?
Yeah, so she is local, and she actually hosted a workshop at the Cedar Park Public Library. She showed us how to incorporate sound effects and which software to use, how to get the best sound, and so she offered to come here to do that for our students.
How can students need to sign up to attend the workshop in the library next week?
Yeah, they can portal using the DEN portal. It's just under Special Podcast Creation Workshop.
Are there any other library events we should be looking forward to?
Yeah, we have a lot going on in February. So on February 6th, we're actually doing a craft for book page roses. So you get to use old books to make roses out of. On February 8th, the Equity Task Force is hosting the Black History Month panel. On February 15th, we're having a slam poetry session that students will be able to sign up for and perform their own slam poetry. And then on February 22nd, we have a local author, Kellis Rowe, coming, and she's going to lead the students in a blackout poetry workshop. So we're excited for all the offerings for Black History Month.
That's all the questions I have for you today. For CPS News, back to you guys.
Thanks for taking time to join us during your den. You can catch anything you missed and more on our Twitter or YouTube at CPHS News.
And don't forget to follow our dedicated sports Twitter at CPHS_sports for updates during all the games. With CPHS News, I'm Katie Whitmarsh.
I'm Jack Polishuk.
And I'm Abby Martinez. Remember to make it a great day or not, the choice is yours.